last for, but I thought I'd just give you guys a bit of an update and show you around a couple of cars that are been through the shop at the moment that are getting worked on, like this 33 GTST that's in at the moment. Rebuilt an RB25 for it. So that's ready to go in. There's a couple other things that the customer wants on this car to be done. So today I'll be chucking in some coilovers and some suspension arms from Nismo. See how that goes. They're pretty cruisy. Front ones are literally an in and out job. They're not bad. The upper front control arms, these Nismo ones, they'll be getting chucked in as well. So they'll be a little bit longer. The rear ones are a bit of a pain. Just got to get that rear parcel shelf off, and then we'll be putting some adjusters on it so that way he doesn't have to remove the rear parcel shelf to adjust the stiffness of the shocks basically. But I'll just show you through the process. Customers opted for some Blitz coilovers and the Nismo arms, so check the preload on these. I'll get them into the car and then we'll adjust the height and go from there. It'll be a little bit difficult to actually get like a final ride height because there's no engine or gearbox weighing the front end down, but once that engine's back in, that one, we'll be able to adjust it and make sure that it's sitting exactly the way that he wants it. So with that Nismo arm in, basically just loosen up off your front main bolt and then the two bolts that have the nuts in the strut tower. Loosen all them off. I removed the coilover to make life a little bit easier. They're all hand tight now. So what we're going to want to do basically is, once I've got all four corners done, I'll put my stand on the actual hub itself, let the car have its own weight on it, and then you want to tighten everything up to factory specifications. I can put a diagram in and show you what each one is. You don't want to tighten up anything when the suspension is at full droop, because then when you have the weight of the car, engine, gearbox, everything on it, you'll just wear out bushes a little bit quicker. But yeah, so once the car's back on the ground on the stands, I'll tighten everything and that will be this corner done. You just got to knock it off its post, then it'll come down, and basically, because we're removing these upper control arms, now that that shock is off the post, I'll remove this bolt. That way this whole suspension can droop a bit further. I can actually pull it out, and then the new ones won't matter because they are far shorter than the stock standard suspension, as you can see. So they go in a lot easier. sit in the coilovers. So front end coilovers are in, not much droop. And then the rears are still on just your springs on shocks, no adjustability. You can see how much droop that has compared to the front. So we'll crack on with the rear, get the rear shock and coils out. To do so, there's 2 bolts that are underneath the parcel shelf inside the actual car itself. So we'll have to jump in, remove that parcel shelf with the speakers on it, get those 2 bolts on either side off. I'll do this basically on the ground so the wheels are touching the ground, so that when these bolts are undone, there's no load on it and they'll come off that a lot easier. And then I'll jack up the car, pull everything out, and then swap in the new coilovers. And then I'll also mark out on the parcel shelf where these adjusters can go. So these adjusters sit on the top of the coilover, so then that way you don't have to keep removing the parcel shelf to make adjustments for the shocks. So we'll get on to that. So I had to remove the parcel shelf, and basically in those corners there's 2 nuts either side. That's the top of the shock. Seats come out. This thing here had a fully hectic custom rear parcel shelf. The speakers were hardwired in, so they've been snipped, and I'll put them on plugs to make life easier later on down the track if the parcel shelf has to come back out ever again. But yeah, now that they're undone, I'll chuck it back on the hoist, slowly raise it up without going too high. Then I'll start undoing the wheels and then raise it up, so then that way there's not a whole bunch of weight on the rear shocks and sagging it down. That's the fronts on the ground. Obviously no engine, so remember, no engine. I'm gonna have to raise this thing up because it's sitting fairly low. I don't really want to cook any quarters, front or rear. As I said before, the rear's going to have extensions attached. These ones here undo the grub screw, and they literally just slip over what's existing there. And you just tighten them. And then basically just clamps onto the existing cap that's on there. And this here can get put through the parcel shelf, so then you can make adjustments without having to remove your parcel shelf. And that's basically it to that. So I'll install this one here, and then we'll start working out where we're going to drill holes in the parcel shelf. So I've just been mucking around with the adjusters for the rear coilovers. So they're connected to, oh goodness, connected to the coilover down the bottom. And I've drilled a nice point at the top for both sides. So now I just need to remove that parcel shelf one last time. Add the bracketry that goes on the sides above the coilovers. And then I can put it all back together. Get the rear seats back in. And the coilover's done. Sitting nice on the 19s. Like I said, the front suspension's only just hand tight. What I'll do is I'll jack it up each side individually, torque all the bolts and nuts to spec. And then for ride height, it's just gonna have to wait till the engine and gearbox is back in. Oof, horrible angle. But this is the engine for it. We'll continue working on this tomorrow. Fully built Nitto series pistons and rods, Plasma Man intake, and then old school HKS TO4Z turbo, and an RB26 manifold that I've modified. So added ears because the 26 and the 25s are different. You can see on this 26 here. So the ears that are different is cylinder 5, whereas cylinder 5 on a 25 is the different orientation. And cylinder 2, cylinder 3, sorry. Cylinder 3 goes towards the right, whereas cylinder 3 on the 25 goes to the left. So just added different ears onto this manifold here to make it work on a 25 instead of 26. But I'll show you guys these tomorrow. Anyway, I'm done for the night. Got my 34 back inside. Looking real sad at the moment, but we'll continue working on the 33 tomorrow. Oh, jeez.